वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
She rolls without any power.
First house has where Queen Elizabeth 32. Fourth house has 25. Well, when a planet will transit there, it will show its weakness. Inherent strength is decided by the fourth lord and the planet in the fourth house. 25 there, remember that Dasha and as SA. That is the main thing. In seeing Queen Elizabeth's horoscope, you will have to see first of all, the only case I have known where a woman went on getting good Dashas, one after another. It is not merely getting good Dashas. There is something still more significant. A principle of Varaha Mihira, Brihad Jatak. When planets are in Kendras from each other. Kendras means what? Angles. They exert maximum pressure. From 1 to 4, it is strong. 7, stronger. 10th, strongest. Here is a queen who got the Venus Dasha, the 10th lord, followed by sun in Kendra, then that of the moon in Kendra, then that of Mars in Kendra. 3 in Kendras from each other, right? Did by, if you deduct 4 years and 12 for, anyway, she get 12 years minimum balance. 13 years minimum balance of Mercury. So during that period, her father becomes a king, 9th lord.
I know that what you've been teaching us is about the transit purchases, and you also mentioned about if the house of expenditure is stronger than the house of gain, etc. Can you apply that principle in general to all the other houses with regards to the strength of the...
In the case of all other houses, let Vinay Aditya collect more data and do research, because there are contradictions in one text, and that is why I don't recommend books very easily.
So you can't say, for example...
No, I can say, but then I do not want to say, because unless now we test each case on 50 horoscopes, we don't teach.
Okay, well,
here only you just see 29 in the 10th house, 39 in the 12th, in the 11th house.
What about less in the log?
Pardon?
If it's less in the log,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are seeing 10, 11, 10, 11, 10 level comparison. In the case of Duke of Windsor, you have seen the 12th becoming stronger so far. Right? Now we come to the last horoscope before winding up. I need not discuss, I have done it already, right? How do you want me to discuss this? These notes? I need not ask you whether you heard about her. I need not ask you whether you have heard about her or not. Who is she? So far you have seen horoscopes of kings losing. First we started with King Farooq, then Nizam of Hyderabad, then Duke of Windsor, then King George VI, who had the misfortune of presiding over the liquidation of British Empire. Queen Elizabeth, who continues but as a mere titular head of British Empire, but a queen who was a queen in the real sense of the term was only Queen Victoria. A queen as a queen should be. Now look at the horoscope. Where is the Lagna? And what is there in the Lagna? Both luminaries aspected by. Now see the Navansha. In the Lagna, moon is exalted. In the Navansha, the sun is exalted. Right? Now go back to what I told you in the morning. According to Varaha Mihira's Brihad Jatak, Jupiter in Kumbha and Simha, he preferred even to Jupiter in Cancer. Now here in the Navansha, Jupiter is again aspecting the Lagna, the sun and the moon. In other cases, Jupiter was like a miser, aspecting one here, not aspecting the other, or doing it partly here, partly there. But here in this case, Jupiter says no, I aspect the Lagna, an exalted moon and sun in the birth horoscope, and aspects again the Lagna, exalted sun and the moon in the Navansha.
I noticed Jupiter is in Leo in the Navansha too, that Rahu Mahira.
Pardon?
I noticed Jupiter is in Leo in the Navansha, that principle of Rahu Mahira, when Jupiter gets exalted.
It need not be merely Navansha. He says Jupiter in Leo and Aquarius behaves better than even Jupiter in Cancer. That is what Varaha Mihir says. And Varaha Mihir, according to me, was the most successful astrologer on the predictive side in the history of the world. Worked in the court of a king. And a genius. An astronomer, Panchasiddhantika, and an astrologer. And he used to do a dasha, known as the Mool Dasha, which no one in India knows. I asked many people to work on that Mool Dasha. A different totally from all these dashas. Many people claim, write books, give commentaries. I said, don't do that. If people ask me what is this Mool Dasha of Varaha Mihir, I really can't explain. There everything is well calculated. Longevity, the time of marriage, so many things. It's a totally different system. The Mool Dasha. Now, See this horoscope. See the difference between the 10th and the 11th. Most important in the birth horoscope, see the 11th house. Right? In the Navansha, you find a Vargottam Rahu. A Vargottam planet acquires the nature of an exalted planet. In the Navansha, you find Vargottam Mercury. In the Navansha, you have an exalted sun. In the Navansha, you have Venus in its own house. And in the Navansha, Jupiter aspects the sun, the moon, and the Lagna.
Mercury is in Aries.
K2 is Virgo.
No, you can't. K2's Virgo to look up Mercury.
Pardon?
Mercury is not.
You had said Mercury.
Navansha.
It's not Virgo to me.
Mercury is exalted in Navansha.
Yeah, but not Virgo. I thought you said Virgo to me.
No. Exalted or Vargottama, you are seeing, see the Navansha, everything is improving again. Jupiter in Leo. Moon exalted. Sun exalted. Moon aspected by Sun and Moon and Lagna aspected by Jupiter. Venus in his own house. Rahu Ketu Vargottama. And Mercury exalted.
It's amazing.
Isn't it?
A question about Vargottama or in general a Graha being the same sign of any Varga.
Pardon?
A Graha being the same sign of any Varga is often happens when the Graha is at the very end, the very beginning of the sign. And when that condition occurs, the Avasta is weak. How do you reconcile those two things? The Vargottama is strong, but the Avasta makes it weak. So what do you
That avastha has a different this thing altogether, meaning altogether. People, I think, have mostly misinterpreted. When I take Gemini, I will show you, not here. Having seen this, now I will read out the description and explain it a little more with the history, the sheer contrast between all the horoscopes I discussed till now and this. That is why I started telling you, all classical astrology was about kings. Yes?
Yeah, can I ask another question about Vargottama?
Pardon?
Vargottama planets, what if they're debilitated in both charts?
There is a controversy. Some people say a Vargottama debilitated planet is good, some people say it is bad, but I found it gives generally good results.
You take it as high as exalted or not quite?
Pardon?
You take it as high as exalted or not quite?
I take it as strong, that's all. The second case of the Queen of England is equally extraordinary and is a great example of the validity of subtle points of Vedic astrology. We have seen in the case of King George VI, fourth Lord debilitated in Navansha, giving him a troubled reign all throughout. In the case of Queen Victoria, the fourth Lord Sun is in Lagna, posited with an exalted planet, and the fourth Lord in Navansha is exalted. See the reverse? King George VI has fourth Lord in debilitated Navansha. Here the exalted Navansha. is also receiving aspect from Jupiter, both in the birth chart and the Navansha. The other luminary, the moon, is also aspected likewise in birth chart and Navansha by Jupiter. Moreover, the moon is the fourth lord of Navansha chart, exalted in the birth chart. See the funny part of it. The Navansha fourth lord is the moon. The birth fourth lord is the sun. Look at the extraordinary 11th house of the Queen, housing 3 dire malefics, carrying 35 Sarvastaka points. In addition, there is an exchange between the lords of the 9th and the 11th house. Jupiter is the 9th lord, 11th lord, and Saturn is the 9th lord. Exchange between 9 and 11. The Queen is one of the finest examples of the classical adage that malefics in the 11th increase. You have been hearing that in medical astrology, malefics in 3, 6, 11. Common. The Queen died in 1901 in the ripe old age of 82 years. She became the Queen in 1837. Now count how many years she was the Queen. "64 years. That is only one part of the story. She was the Queen for 64 years is only one part of the story. There is a more significant part. She became the Queen in 1837 when she was only 18 years old, in the period of Rahu Saturn. Major Lord Rahu, which is also Vargottama, is in the 11th with the sub-lord Saturn, which is aspecting the 4th lord Sun in the capacity of the Yoga-Karaka planet for a Taurus Lagna, being the 9th and the 10th lord. Transit Saturn was passing over Libra with a comfortable 29 points. When she became the Queen, Saturn was in Libra. It was all smooth sailing for the Queen, except that during this time America asserted its independence and got it. Indian War of Mutiny. But the British Empire did not sink because in India and Australia they had vast colonies. Some other, I think Canada, I forget. Anyway, that history I'll check up. The nature of planets in the 11th house determine the nature and source of gains. A Vargottama Rahu with 2 other malefics gave the British power to exploit distant lands like India and Australia, where they perpetuated ruthless reign of terror. The placement of these malefics in Pisces, the sign of a benefic, signifies only a superficially benevolent kingdom. Its lord Jupiter is debilitated. The Australian and the Indians, who had to beat the brunt of their tyranny, knew what was hidden beneath the apparent benevolence. Then came the Jupiter-Ketu period in 1857, when she had to face the revolt of the Indian army. Jupiter is the 8th lord also. debilitated. And Ketu is in the 5th house, aspected by Jupiter. In other words, you can also take it as a dasha of the 11th lord and the 5th lord. So there was a revolt in India, but there was no loss of kingdom. That saved her. When she had to face the revolt of the Indian army, Jupiter being the 8th lord is debilitated in the 9th house. It had to give her fate a definite blemish. Ketu was the faceless sublord, contributing its might to darken the blemish. Ketu acts as per its dispositor, which is Mercury, posited in the 12th with Venus, the 6th lord of conflict. Jupiter, the major lord, was passing over her weakest house, Aries, with abysmal 18 points. Now that is Ashtakvarga for you. When the Indian War of Independence took place, Jupiter was in a very Aries in 1857. Suddenly it appeared that the queen was going to lose her dignity. Right? Then how did the change come? Fortunately for her, Saturn was passing over Gemini. At the same time, the British were successful in suppressing the revolt with vicious ruthlessness. Look at the powerful horoscope of the Queen. She had to continue with greater glories in store for her in future. You have so far seen the cases of kings who lost. Now you are seeing the case of a queen who gains. In 1876, when she was running Saturn's sun, she was declared the Empress of India. Officially, even now in India, some old families have coins, Queen Victoria coins of pure silver. Queen Elizabeth is not the Queen of India. King George VI was not the King of India after Indian independence. Officially, only Queen Victoria has been the Queen of India, of the British Indian Empire. The expansionism of Lord Disraeli, rival of Gladstone, known as Lord Beaconsfield also, led to this strange decision. When she was feeling depressed, when her husband died, what was his name? Prince Albert. And when they went and asked her to perform the opening ceremony of the British Parliament, she rebuffed them. She said, "How can you come and torment a widow like me?" But she had to pass through better Dashas. Then came Lord Disraeli, flattered her, and very clearly his philosophy: if you decide to flatter, go full blast. So the way he flattered her, completely her ego was boosted, and she became so partial. It is well known in British history that the Queen interfered in the politics of England, in the so-called democracy, to favor Disraeli against Gladstone. Imagine. But she did it. Then came the major lord, Saturn, is the 10th lord in the 11th, aspecting the 4th lord's sun. In normal Vinshotari, Saturn Sun periods are generally periods of great tension. Right? But here it is an exalted Sun in Navansha aspected by Jupiter. Right? In transit, Saturn was passing over Aquarius, the 10th house, carrying the second highest point, 32. Incidentally, the Vargottama Rahu was transiting the house with maximum point, 35 in Pisces. We have shown you 4 examples of unstable monarchies, all of males, and 2 examples of stable monarchies, both females. Right? Has it got to do something with their sex or the difference in their horoscopes? That's a question you have to answer. These case studies clearly show how Ashtakvarga principles in their simplest form can be applied on dasha and transits with replicable results. Right?
The house is strength for Ashtakavarga.
Pardon?
If the house is strength for Ashtakavarga, is it the same kind of strength as if the Lord is very strong, the Shabbat?
No. In Ashtakvarga, it is only the strength of the house. Its Lord has nothing to do with it. The Lord's strength and the house strength, the total scheme is there in your programs normally. You have them.
Oh, I know they're counted.
I tell you now again, that is a matter of research. Calculated differently, right? Okay. But calculated differently, the only program I know of in the world which gives you 4 different types of calculations, KCP Madras. KCP Madras, I will give you the address. Maybe I have brought it here. You send your horoscopes. They will give you 4 types of calculations. Born in Shukla Paksha, born in Krishna Paksha, born during daytime, born at night time, born during the time, born at night time. So you have 4 types of calculation, the only computer in the world which is giving you all 4 types of calculations for Rashi and Graha Bala for your research. And charging how much? The first computer program of the world of Vedic astrology is KCP Madras. Rich cement owners of cement factory, they decided to serve astrology, and I do not know, but I think even now, I presume they charge only 10 or 15 rupees, giving you all the calculations. And 10 or 15 rupees means how much? Less than half a dollar. Giving you all the 4 calculations. But they are the only one, they did it for the love of it, not to make any profit out of it. Pardon?
About Ashtakavarga and Mahorta.
And?
Mahorta.
Right. I'm coming to that. I'll now take up general questions. I'll tell you now. When people come to me and ask for a muhurta, I ask them to get their Ashtakvarga. And the day in Ashtakvarga, if you want a good month, when you find the sun transiting a strong house, that is the month. Particular day if you want, when the moon is transiting a strong house. Within that day you want a time also. Like this in the Prasthara Ashtakvarga, you will prepare the 12 houses. And you will have these 8 parts. 345 degrees, 730, what I showed you in the morning. Now find out first a good month according to the sun, a good day according to the moon, and a good degree of the moon in the Prasthara Ashtakvarga. For instance, an imaginary one. Like this you have 8 parts. Now let us say moon has a positive point here, a positive point here, a positive point here, and no point here, no points here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 divisions. Prastharaka. Moon in Aries you find is favorable. But moon in Aries is favorable from 0 degree to 345, 345 to 730, 730 to 1115, 1115 to 15, then it is blank. So when you are giving the muhurta, tell the person, do this work before moon has crossed 15 degrees in Mesha. Is that clear?
How important will be the sun of Ashtakavarga for that sign?
I am coming to that. Most important always is the dasha, right? Dasha, antadasha, normally you will analyze. After analyzing, find out how the Mahadasha and the Antadasha lots are transiting in the Sarvastaka. Step number 2. How Saturn and Jupiter are transiting. Normal. A good strength in Sarvastaka is a must. For the year, for the general trend, for general prosperity. Then the sun for the month, the moon for the day, the positive score of the moon in the given Prastharak Ashtakvarga between some degrees for the time within that day. Moon may be very favorable between 15 and 18 degrees, may be very weak between 18 degrees to till the end. So I say finish your work before moon crosses 18 degrees. In choosing muhurta for the kings, this was the system always followed. Many wrong comments made by India's political astrologers that such and such person took his oath in such and such wrong muhurta has no meaning, because those fellows should examine it, that in Sarvastaka it was the best muhurta, otherwise it was a bad day. Vaidhrit yoga, Ganda yoga, Shul yoga, but all these things are completely forgotten. Parashara says, Ashtakvarga Shuddhi overrides everything. Ashtakvarga Shuddhi overrides everything. You need not look into any type of traditional muhurta at all. Right? You see, for emergency, Abhijit is alright, twilight is alright, worship of Lord Shiva is alright. We are talking of pure technical one. If you are talking of the pure technical one, make use of Ashtakvarga. Yes.
Even the tournament is 15 degrees of any special, still saw more than 30 hours of time. Now, would you select from Murukan according to Kalhora or using the clock?
No, I'm neither taking Kalhora nor Lagna. When it comes to Ashtakvarga, I only see when is it strongest. Now don't bring in conflicting things. Kalhora generally you do only for emergency.
As far as the one concerned, some transit
Previously spent from 11 is good, but supposing the sun is bigger between 12, strong in the Sarvastaka, you're getting that.
Yes, very good question. His question is, sun is unfavorably, let us say, disposed, but is strong in Ashtakvarga. Then you need not consider, he is not unfavorably disposed, he is favorably disposed. When he is strong, he is favorable. So, very clearly Parashara says, and let me tell you, I always give muhurta to people according to Ashtakvarga. If I don't have the Ashtakvarga, then only I have to do the calculation. But if I have it, I only turn over the ephemeris. And you must do this more in USA for another reason. In USA, from place to place, from time to time, your yoga, your karana, all these things cannot be calculated very properly. It's a vast place, very vast place. Your 5 time zones. How many? 5 or 6? 4. With all the daylight saving times. There, last year in Seattle, they gave me that American Atlas, 640 pages. Right? Then I have got another International Atlas, again prepared in USA. The entire International Atlas is thinner than the American Atlas. So in this country, how can you really fix a muhurta traditionally in different places? Tell me. I don't know. I have not done the process. People ask me, I say, no, but I will go simple straight by Ashtakvarga. and my method is very simple and it is the most superior method. Parashar says very clearly, Ashtakvarga Shuddhi is the word used. Shuddhi means purification. Shuddhi means purification. If there is Ashtakvarga purification, don't worry for any other type of muhurta. And I have strictly gone by that. Only when it is not there, then I try to follow other principles of muhurta. But getting Ashtakvarga these days is not difficult with good computer programs, because here you need only Bhinnastaka and Ashtakvarga only. No detailed calculations to find out whether Trikon Shodhan, Ekatipati Shodhan, etc. are correct or not. Here I want only the totals. So a margin of error of 1 or 2 here and there will not affect the results much. Generally, the principle you should follow is, in Sarvastaka, a house which has 28 and more will keep on improving. Average 28 points in Sarvastaka. It will keep improving. If it is increasing 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, it improves. From 28 it begins to decline. Generally our experience is 28 to 22, somehow the weakness is contained. When it begins to go below 20, you may read that paper and see what have been the periods of marital tension or relationship tensions in your life. These are all tested ones, and mass testing we do in Bharati Vidya Bhavan. So advanced techniques you can understand now. Earlier, when the book was brought, some people bought it and just kept it in their houses as decoration pieces. And no one asked me how to read which paper and do what. Now you can follow that Ashtakvarga part very easily, and you can go deeper and also try Gemini, and you can go still deeper for understand Dr. Charak's paper, onset and outcome of disease, explaining both through Vinshotri Dasha and Gemini Dasha. That is the composite technique we have evolved, reviving it from Jatak Tattva, a book which Chirmule talked about and which I recommend very strongly. So the whole approach, composite approach, is being done by us and us alone, because we combine 2 dashas or 3 dashas. Transit should come last, never first. In Vedic astrology, transit should always come last. I would rarely see transit to give prediction to anyone. I would mainly go by the dasha and antardasha. And my friend agrees from Seattle, Mr. Cott. He also says whenever he gives predictions, he would go only by the dashas, rarely by transits. Right? So with this I will conclude, and tomorrow those of you who are coming for Gemini will please bring a regular notebook with horoscopes drawn and enough blank pages left. Draw enough, because I will offhand dictate a horoscope to you apart from what is given in the book. and I'll make you do the exercise in the class. Pardon?
Is what you're going to do over the next 3 days similar to what you did in San Rafael last?
No. In San Rafael, the standard was not uniform. One man who,
Last summer in San Rafael.
I remember, but in San Rafael, it just went beyond their heads. No one did it, so I'm not going to commit that mistake. You will have to sit down and do the exercise right here.
So you're doing it differently than you did it.
Yes, different thing. Because in San Rafael, supposed to be an advanced class where I'm teaching Gemini. One person asks, who is the Lord of Leo?
But I think what Ron's question is usually covering the same material. but-
No.
Can we go to some chart, page 9 pages, so when you can get everything? Making the chart and notebook.
No, you will have to make it in the notebook. You will have to do the exercise here. No shortcut. No shortcut. You draw and bring it. I'll make you do the exercise here. No, why can't you draw here? ठीक है.
On Ashtakavarga, then also put into the specific purposes, the project significant.